In this month of December, there have been quite a number of cool model launches in the AI space, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of them, that is Grok 2. So, Grok 2 and Grok 2 Vision from XAI have been available for some time now. I believe it was actually released in August of this year, 2024. As you can see over here, it was released in August. Okay, and a beta version was also made available, I think, a month ago. If we scroll down, I think we can find that here. API access. 1 month ago, we released the public beta of our enterprise API along with the preview models Grok beta and Grok Vision beta. As you can see, that's really cool. It was made available a month ago, and I think that was November of 2024. However, a new version of Grok 2 was just released this month. I think it was over a week ago on the 12th of December. And this video, I'm actually recording this video on the 21st of December. So it was over a week ago. So this model, this new version is actually called Grok 2 1212. As you can see here, that's what it's actually called. And there's also a multimodal version, that's Grok 2 Vision 1212. So just like the Grok beta that was also released, they both have a vision model. So these models bring improvement in accuracy, instruction following, and multilingual capabilities, and offer a great opportunity for developers looking for a highly steerable and intelligent model. So we are going to take a look at other parts of this particular blog post and then dive into some code. If you're actually using X, something to actually take a look at is Grok analysis. This is really cool. So they added a Grok button, as you can see here. Now it says today we are also introducing the Grok button, a new feature that will appear on posts across your home timeline. This button is designed to help you discover relevant context, understand real-time events, and dive deeper into trending discussions. Really cool. So as you can see, you can actually try out Grok on X, and if you have an X account, both free and premium accounts can actually try out Grok right now. You can use it for image understanding if you want to analyze an image, and you can also chat with it as usual. You can also generate images. That is something that's really cool that Grok also has, and I think they are actually planning on naming their image generation model Aurora. So because if you scroll down, you can see here it says in the coming weeks, Aurora is also coming to our API, enabling developers to generate photorealistic images for their applications. So it's really going to be cool. And the moment this is out, I'm definitely going to be releasing a video about Aurora. So that's something I'm actually looking forward to, and it's going to be really, really cool. Now, XAI also recently announced something awesome. They said here that you can currently sign up and use the API with $25 free credits. As you can see, I love freebies. I love free stuff. So I decided to hop on the offer. I actually created a developer account, and to actually do that, you can go over to console.x.ai and you can create a developer account. You can sign up with your Google account or your X account. It's just really simple, and they would actually give you access to their language models. As you can see here, there's Grok beta and also Grok Vision beta, and then these are the two new models, and these are what we would actually be trying in this video. And before moving forward, make sure you do generate an API key. You can go to the API keys page and generate a new API key, because we will actually need it later when we actually dive into the code. Do not forget that. So now let's open up our IDE and try out the API. To try out the API, we'll be using the Langchain framework and also the Langchain XAI library. That's something we would actually be using to access the chat model class chat XAI. So instead of using the chat OpenAI chat model class, we're going to be using chat XAI since we'll be using Grok. So that's something to take note of. We'll see how well this model follows prompts when calling tools, because we'll be giving it about 2 or 3 tools, and we'll actually create a structured chat agent. And something else we'll also be testing is its image understanding capability. That's something we want to actually check out. And one last thing after we actually set up a simple chatbot is we're going to be looking at my AI system. It's called Genesis, and I won't be diving deep into it. All I'm going to be doing is using its vision and screenshot tool to try out the image understanding capability of Grok 2. So we won't actually be focused on code in this video. And since it's a private AI system, I won't actually be diving deep into the code, the nitty-gritty and all that. So that's just a quick note. Now we're going to use the text model as the base model and then the multimodal model to analyze images. Since we will actually be calling a vision tool which has access to my webcam, and we're going to see if it can call that particular tool without any problem. That is following prompt, like I said earlier. That's one thing we want to actually check out. So I'm going to use the text model as the base model, and later on I can actually use the vision model for the base model just to see if it can actually follow prompt same as the text model. But for the image understanding, we'll definitely be using the multimodal model, that is Grok 2 Vision 1212. Now, instead of ranting, let's just start writing code. And a quick note, make sure you have your virtual environment already set up. So we'll be setting up a very simple chatbot here. You can follow along, but make sure your virtual environment is set up. If you haven't, you can use virtual env or conda as usual. So now let's take a look at our requirements with txt, and something to take note of is, like I said, we're going to be using Langchain underscore XAI. That's a package you need to actually install. So we won't actually be using the chart model found in Langchain OpenAI. So just make sure you have this installed, and also install these two packages because you would actually need to install the Langchain framework or the Langchain Python library. It's important to actually do so, and make sure you also have python-env installed. That's if you want to create a .env file and you want to load it up in your Python script. So if you don't want to actually do that, you can just easily set the environment variable on that particular Python script. But in this video, we are going to be loading it up. I have a .env file already in my root directory. As you can see over here, I have a .env file. I won't be opening it since it contains API keys. So let's go over to XAI, and what I'm going to do first is import. So we're going to load .env like I said. Now I have this value X API key. I already have it set in my .env file, but if you want to actually set it up here, all you have to do is this. You have to first import OS so you can actually set your environment variable, and you can just set this and set it equal to your API key. That's if you want to actually do it like this. But since I have mine in my .env file, I do not need to actually do this. So now let's remove this. And something else I'm going to import is, as you can see, chat XAI. That's something we actually need. Now let's create, chart, not cat. Now we're going to set the model. And the model we're going to be using is Grok 2-1212. That is the latest model that just came out 12th of December. The next thing we'll need to actually do is we can actually set the temperature of this particular model, and you can set it from 0 to 1. So we're going to set it to 0.2. So the next thing we'll do is we're going to use a for loop to stream the chat response content, and then we're going to run it with a dummy message. We'll just pass in a dummy message and we'll see what actually happens. So let's create the chat.stream, and we're going to pass in a dummy message, and let's say tell me something funny. So we're going to print m.content. Now we're going to run this and we're going to see what actually happens. So make sure you actually set up yours like this with the load underscore .env before the chat XAI. So it automatically sets the environment variables from the .env file because you need your XAI API key. Now we are going to run this. Let's open up our terminal. And as you can see, my virtual environment is active, and let's run it. So as you can see, why don't eggs tell jokes? They crack each other up. Just a very terrible joke, but we'll take it. Now, something else you can actually do is you can actually use this with a .invoke. Okay, so instead of setting this up like this, we would want to pass in an input instead of sending in something like a dummy text. This time we're going to pass in an input, that is, we'll be able to chat with this chatbot. Now to do that, I'm going to set this to while true, and I'm going to set text equal to Now we're going to say chat.invoke. We're going to pass in text. So now let's run this. Okay, something we actually missed, sorry, is, so now let's kill this and run it again. As you can see, hello, how can I assist you today? My name is Assistant. How can I help you today? So another thing we can actually do is pass in images, and we are going to use the human message class. We're going to use the human message class, and this time we're going to change this to grok2-vision-1212. So that's what we're going to be using. And we're going to import the human message. So now that we have actually imported this from langchain.schema, we can actually do this, and we will call human message here and pass in a content list. And as you can see, we have type text, and then the text, we're going to pass in this text, and we're enveloping it in a list, and we'll pass it in here. So now we can actually run this again and see what actually happens. Say hello. As you can see, hello, how can I assist you today? So it actually works. Now we can actually try out the image human message. We can pass in an image. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to convert it to base 64. That's something that we actually have to do. So since we are not actually running this locally, we would have to, import base 64. And now we are going to create a new function here. We're going to call it def code image. And we're going to say width vs, and we're going to say base.64 dot, and we are going to also decode this to UTF-8, and let's just make sure we actually return it since we actually need this value. Let's see, I don't think there's anything else. That's basically it. So now I can actually pass in a message here. I can pass in image and then send it over to encode. Okay, now let's pass in an image. So I'm going to copy an image into our project directory, and I'm going to paste in the path here. So it's going to first convert it to base 64, and then we'll pass it over to the human message. Now let's add one more dictionary here for our image. As you can see, type image URL, then we'll pass in CRL, and we're going to pass this in with our base 64 image. This is actually important. It's important to actually pass it in this way. Now, what else? You can just send in the image. You can just send in the message, sorry, and you'll be fine. So we're going to pass in a screenshot to Grok, and we're going to see if it can actually perform proper OCR, if it can actually see tiny text. And I want it to actually list out all the file names it actually see in the screenshot I'm about to show you. So, and this is the screenshot. Now, if we zoom in, so you can see we have so many files open. Now, I want it to actually list out the names of this file that it can actually see on this row. So let's go to XAI and pass in screenshot.png. So let's run it again. So I'm going to say list all currently open. So it says app.py requirements.txt, and note this is not a Python file but a text file used for listing dependencies. It's on the screenshot, setup.py, test app.py. Where is it saying all that? Let's open screenshot again. You didn't even mention main.py. So test, it performed really terribly. And it got requirements.txt, but that's not a Python file. It didn't follow the instruction. And I said list all Python files currently open on this IDE, which basically is a fail. These files are visible in the tabs at the top of the IDE window. So that's a fail, basically. It's not opened here at all. None of them are actually opened. That's a fail. So now let's set up a simple structured chat agent to test Grok 2 agentic capability. We're going to be loading up 2 or 3 tools to this particular agent. We're going to set it up here in xai.py. And we're also going to load up a very simple prompt. This is in prompts.py. This is the usual prompt that we actually use in Langchain for structured chat agents. It's structured chat underscore prompt 2. That's what we're going to be calling here. So let's import it here. I'm going to, and the next thing I'm going to do is import the agent executor and also create structured chart agent. I'm going to import both of them from the Langchain library. Now, something else we're going to do is import some basic tools. We're going to import it from basically basic tools. That's where we're going to import it from. I already have all these tools set up in this particular class. I have a different video where I actually set up these particular tools and I actually tested them. So we won't be doing all that in these videos. I'm going to link that particular video in the description, or I'm just going to link it up here. You're going to see a pop-up basically. And maybe you can actually watch it and see how I actually set up these very simple tools. But you're going to need, I think it's Open Weather API. You actually need the API key to be able to use the Open Weather tool. So let's go back. So now we've actually imported this. We're going to set up our agent. Now I'm going to create a very simple function and I'm going to call this function, let's say process, say message, and we're going to accept the message. Now we're going to create the agent, call it agent, and I'm going to create the structure chart agent and going to pass in the LLM that's chat. Let's call this LLM. Let's just create the agent executor and we are going to pass in our agent. So instead of doing this twice, I'm going to create tools here. Let's just set verbose to true. Now something I'm going to add is I'm going to add in this prompt for handling past errors. So it will say check your output and make sure it conforms. Use the action/action input syntax. If it doesn't call it tool output, only the action input. So this is what it's going to do whenever it actually outputs the wrong JSON format or the wrong structured format. So let's see what else. I don't think there's anything else. So let's just say agent.invoke and we're going to have to pass in the input. So let's comment it. So now we can actually run this code and see how well it actually performs. Now let's run it. As you can see, entering agent executor chain. Hello there, how can I assist you today? Really cool. Something else you can actually do, you can actually get the outputs. Since it actually returns this particular dictionary, you can just and then print this. So let's try again. You can see it said, hello, it's great to meet you. How can I assist you today? And when I hit, I passed in an empty stuff. I do not know why it's saying what is the current date. If I hit enter with an empty message, it's not supposed to enter the agent executor. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass in a check here to check if message is. So now let's run this again and let's hit enter. As you can see, it returned false and it said message cannot be empty. Maybe we can just do this instead since we are already printing process here. Let's do this again and let's run it. Message cannot be empty. Now let's ask it what is date. As you can see, and the date you seek, my inquisitive friend, is Monday, December 23rd, 2024. Quite the festive time, isn't it? Really cool, really cool. Now, let's ask it what is the time. And remember, we're not actually saving chat history. You can see the time is 14:13 p.m. So it's accurate. As you can see it used the weather tool in Lagos. Now, if you go over to the weather tool, you're going to see what I actually left it here. The description I actually gave it, and also for the argument schema, I gave this field the description. But let's see. Use this weather tool to use this tool to check the weather. Format input as location. Location must be provided by user. If none was provided by user, set location value to Lagos, and that's what it basically did, which is really cool. Even in the field description, I said format input as location. Location must be provided by user. If none was provided by user, set location value to Lagos, and that's what it did. And it got, as you can see, location was set to Lagos. Now, this is really cool. Now, if I say you're supposed to know to actually pass in New York as a location, As you can see, it's passed in New York as the location, which means it actually follows instructions properly, which is really cool. And that's what we wanted to actually try out. I wanted to see if it can actually follow instructions properly. And let's go over to our date tool. As you can see, what I did here, I actually commented out return direct. So when we actually checked the date, if we scroll back up, when we asked it, what is the date? It checked the date and it didn't just return it. It's actually wrote out its own response, added all this, but the time tool still has return direct. That's why when we asked it for the time, you just returned it directly, and that's what it actually gave us when it actually finished the agent executor chain. So that's how it actually works, which means it didn't actually run into any errors, and it followed the instruction of the tools I actually passed in, and that's a pass for instruction following. It's really cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use Grok 2, both the text and the multimodal model, and we are going to use the text model as a base model. We're going to just plug it into our AI system called Genesis. Like I said, I won't be going into the code. I will just show you what it's going to do. Basically, we are going to ask it to open up the screenshot tool, and we are going to take a screenshot of our screen, and you'll see if it actually understands what it's actually saying, because we're going to send that screenshot over to Grok 2 Vision to analyze it. So let's just open up system.py. That's where we have this setup. As you can see here, we're calling the LLM, and we set it to Grok 2 1212, and for the Vision LLM, we set it to Grok 2 Vision 1212. Now, if we scroll down, you can see that somewhere in here we are actually analyzing the image. As you can see, if there's an image, we are going to use the Vision LLM, and we're going to send the image over together with the text. Let's say we actually ask it to take a look at my screen. What is this? We can ask it, what does it actually see? Blah blah blah. And at the end of the day, to take in the image and just use that particular text query and the image to provide an output, something like that. While if we are actually chatting with it and we don't pass in any image, that is, we don't use any tools that sends in image, it will just process the text normally using the normal text model. So that's what we're going to do now, and we're going to run it. And this particular agent was set up with speech to text and also text to speech. So let's just run the code, and we are not actually running it from XAI, we are running main.py. So let's wait for it to start. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello there, I'm doing fantastic, thanks for asking. Just hanging out in the digital realm, ready to assist with a dash of humor and a sprinkle of geekiness. How about you? How's your day going?
Could you open up the screenshot tool? So as you can see, the screenshot tool is actually open, but let's pull it up here and let's select an area.
Ah, I see you've captured a fascinating snapshot of the language model universe. Let's dive into this data. You've got models like GPT 3.5, Turbo, GPT 4, and Text Events I003, each with their own superpowers. For instance, GPT 3.5 Turbo is quite the economical choice at $0.0015 per completion, while GPT-4 offers a larger context window of 8,192 tokens, but at a higher cost of $0.06 per completion. If you're looking for something with a massive context, GPT-4-32K can handle up to 32,768 tokens. What specific details or comparisons are you interested in? Or perhaps you need help choosing the right model for a particular task.
So it actually fails that. It actually got the text wrong. Close the screenshot tool. Open up the webcam.
Agent Tool webcam open successfully in background.
Tell me what you see.
Agent Tool analyzing image. Ah, I see a piece of lined paper with the word Zeus written on it in a rather fancy ribbon-like style. There's even a lightning bolt thrown in for good measure, which is quite fitting for the Greek god of sky and thunder. It's being held by a hand at the bottom, adding a personal touch to this artistic homage to Zeus. Quite the stylish depiction, if I do say so myself.
Take a look at this.
Agent Tool analyzing image. I see a poignant sketch here. It's a hand-drawn image on lined paper featuring the word pain in bold, stylized letters with wing, like extensions on the P and N. Above it, there's the phrase suicide for, and below, an angelic figure or bird with wings where the P and Y are part of the wing design. It's all in blue ink, and I can see a hand holding the paper, which seems to be from a notebook labeled Wednesday. This artwork seems to convey deep emotions. Is there anything specific you'd like to discuss about it?
Close webcam.
Asian tool webcam closed.
So for my final thought, I do think if you want to use Grok 2, go for the text model. It's really good when it comes to tool calling and all that, like you actually saw in this video. But when it comes to the vision model, I think it's best to go for a different model if you want something that can actually understand images really well, and it's also good at OCR. So it's better to go for something else because, like you saw in this video, we actually snipped this screen, just some part of it, and we sent it over to the vision model. It failed woefully, like it really failed at recognizing the text. Instead, it kept thinking Grok is GPT 3.5 Turbo and GPT 3.5 for some reason. And then when we actually put this image in front of it for the vision, when we were actually testing the vision tool, it actually got soccer for wrong. It thought it was suicide that was written at the top, but I'm going to show you the image. You see it's soccer for that is at the top, and so it actually failed woefully when it comes to the vision model. So if you want something that actually performs better, you can go for something like an open source multimodal large language model like Llama 3.2, the 11 billion or the 90 billion parameter model. So I'm really shocked, like I'm actually really surprised because I felt the vision model would be much better than what's currently out there. So that's just my final thoughts. So that's it for this video. Make sure you like, share, and make sure you hit that bell icon so you will get notified whenever a new video is released on this channel. So do not forget, once again, subscribe if you haven't. It's really important, especially as we're on our way to our first 1,000 subscribers, and I have been making noise about that for the past how many videos now. So that's our first milestone, and it's really important we cross that milestone. So thank you for watching. Have a nice one.